start. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome. So we like to start just having like a centering piece or a grounding exercise, very, very brief, just to, we have like different time zones. People are just going to bed in a bit and some people are just awaking. So just to get in the same page.
Yeah.
And so if you want to...
Some are drinking coffee, some are drinking wine.
Yeah. So if you want to just stop your video for a while and feel your feet on the ground and breathe and be intentional with your breathing. And just, you don't need to change anything. You just feel the air coming in and out. And as you breathe, you just think about the intention for this session, that you came here. So what is your intention for this session? Take a very deep breath and write down in a piece of paper, if you have beside you, what is your intention for this session today? It's gonna be private for you, but put in a visible place. And take another deep breath, and when you feel present and here, just open your camera again. And I'm gonna put in the chat. So we use the chat a lot for the instructions, so you may have it open for you. It will help. And so I just post in the chat how it will be our session today. So 90 minutes, and just be aware of the alerts that you may have in your devices or in your surroundings, and create a place to take notes. It's always good to have, oh, thank you, Fernando, to have a piece of paper beside you, and chat, use the chat as much as you can, much as you like. And Fernando, over to you.
Okay, so Facilitation Week. I hope you have been attending lots of different events with different people and learning and sharing. I'd always like to be in these events and connect with different facilitators. We always learn a lot. So welcome. For those who doesn't know, Facilitation Week is an event that IAF promotes every year. And it's like a festival, and it happens along 7 days all over the planet, so people can offer face-to-face events and online events. Online events are getting more popular because you can reach out for different practitioners in different places. So, but lots of people are doing also face-to-face events on this week. So welcome, everyone. We put this workshop together for people in Brazil and Portugal. So we did one in Portuguese, and we are doing now in English. And it's about liberating structures. So just raise your hands if you know liberating structures and practice a little bit. Some people do, some people don't. Awesome. That's the best mix, because when we have people who know and people who doesn't know, they get together and they learn, and we just facilitate the process. That's the best space. Just kidding. We'll show you a little bit like the basics for you to get started with liberating structures, because they are simple to learn and simple to practice, and they are made to spread by themselves. So you don't need to be a facilitator to be using liberating structures, but it actually helps a lot if you are. So our purpose is to work with these two elements, creativity and collaboration, how they can intertwine and make the world better. And liberating structures helps a lot to do this. So to spark creativity and also to get more collaboration going. And by the way, effortless in our side as facilitators. So if you're carrying this burden of getting people, trying to make the quiet people to talk and make the right configuration for groups to mingle, So all this becomes way easier when you start using liberating structures. So that's our promise for you. Did I start it well, Carolina?
Yeah.
I'm the seller. So what is the agenda? So we are just finishing this opening. We'll be doing impromptu network in a minute. And then we'll be speaking about microstructures. This is how liberating structures are designed and how they work, how simple and how powerful it is. So it's just a quick introduction. And then we'll be doing another liberating structure called wise crowds, which is powerful and simple as well. A little bit about microstructures, just to be sure that, yes, this is it. It's really simple. And then we'll be sharing ideas and applications, and then we'll be closing. So it will fly by in 90 minutes. Anything else, Carolina?
No, just have fun.
Buckle up and let's go.
Yeah.
Carolina.
Yeah. Every liberating structure has a very, very clear purpose. And we are going to experience the first one called impromptu networking. Maybe it's not new for some, but new for others. And the purpose of this one is to rapidly share challenges and expectations and build new connections. So this is the purpose of the impromptu networking. And how it works. There are two questions in the chat. So the first, what can we do with more collaboration and more creativity? And what do you hope to take away from this gathering? And how can you contribute to this group? So you're going to answer these two questions in pairs. So you're going to have 4 minutes with another person, and then we come back to the main room, and then you're going to meet another person, and then come back, and then we are going to have the third round. So 3 rounds, 3 different pairs, and same questions. I think we're ready to go, Fernando.
I'm just checking how many people we have.
There are some people dropping.
Yeah, so I will assign groups of 2 and 3, just to be sure that we'll be with someone in the room. So let me just double check. Yes. Okay, so here we go. 4 minutes. The questions are in the chat.
Hello.
Apeksha.
Hello. I said your name wrong, right? I said Carolina, but it's Carolina.
No
Because
problem.
I got confused when I saw it the first time.
We like to pronounce all the names.
Yeah. There's a song called Fernando.
Yeah, I'm so happy that Abba made that song because people know how to pronounce my name.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Everybody's back. Okay, so we'll be keeping the triads because some people are dropping and coming back. But we'll be adding 1 more minute. So you have 5 minutes. So share the time wisely among yourselves. And
Yeah. Thank
next
you.
round.
So
me at this
No
time.
problem. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, welcome back. So I'm going to put in the chat again the questions, same questions, the third round, and we are in triads and for 5 minutes. And I'm going to put in the chat again because there's someone coming. Just to be sure
And
that
as you know, we are using that random feature in Zoom, but there is a component in this randomness that gets some people, special people, again together. There is a reason for that. We don't know what it is, but you have to figure it out. Why are we going together again? Maybe we have something to share, or I don't know. It's a karma.
Fernando, let me tell you that I have an appointment with someone to introduce ourselves at one more hour later. And I invited her to the meeting. And the first round, it was
You see?
Oh,
Digital
wow.
karma. It works. Here we go. Last round.
That's awesome. Not yet. 10
Not yet.
seconds.
10 seconds before
5 seconds.
talking crazily. Lainka.
Okay.
Hi.
Here we are.
It's over. It got over very fast.
Yeah. Okay, I think we are all back, Carolina.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna put in the chat a link for you, a slide deck. And also I'm gonna share the screen to talk about a little bit about the microstructure. So this is a facilitation week. So nice, IAF facilitation week. So this slide here shows the two authors of the Liberating Structures, so Henri and Keith. And we were with them in the global gathering in 2019. And we are here for that, for this taste of the liberating structure and thinking about creativity and collaboration. And so we just did this 3 rounds of the impromptu networking. So the question, the question that we gave to you was that one, those questions. And we worked more in triads than in pairs because of people were dropping a little bit. But I think you had fun. And so what is behind all the liberating structures? What is the DNA of the liberating structures, the microstructures? So sometimes we think about the big structure, so the room or the projector or how it's gonna be the coffee break or other stuff, so the big things. And we don't think about in our activities the little or the microstructures of our activities. So probably you're already doing this, maybe not so intentional and maybe not so conscious. So this is a way to look to all your activities. So in the liberating structure, we have the icon in the center. So this orange bubble, and there's a clear purpose, a name and a clear purpose. And then we have the structuring invitation. This is very key for all the liberating structures and for all activities that we facilitate. Then we have the how space is arranged and material needed. And then also we have how participation is distributed. For example, now I'm talking and everybody's listening. So 1 to everyone. And so how groups are configured. And also the sequence of steps and time allocation. So what happened in the impromptu networking? So in the impromptu networking, so we have this purpose, the clear purpose. We have the invitation we gave to you. And so we can have like in the Zoom breakout rooms, but in person we have an open space or a place that people can just meet in pairs. And maybe sometimes one try it here or try it there. Sometimes it happens when I have big groups. And everybody, so the participation, everybody's involved. And you can work with like 10 people or you can work with, I don't know, 300 or more. And everybody's involved in terms like one is talking, another one is listening, all at the same time. So we have pairs and we have these 3 cycles. So these steps is 3 cycles of 4 minutes. So, and this is another way to see the microstructures. And this is a very good way. And we see what do you change. So the invitation is what you're gonna change. And it's related to what you were facilitating. The rest you can just do how it is. And we are going to experience another liberating structures, which is the wise crowds. So I'm gonna put it in the chat for you here. So is this you're gonna be in small groups, groups of 4 or 5. And you're gonna have, so the purpose of the wise crowds is to tap the wisdom of the whole group in a rapid cycle. So what happened in this group, you're going to have groups of 4 or 5 people, and you're going to have someone is going to say, oh, I'm a client. I have a challenge to share here. And so this person will tell this challenge in 2 minutes. And it's very important to keep this timing. So 2 minutes for the client to present the challenge or the request for help. And then 3 minutes for the other consultants, the other people, to ask clarification questions, and just clarification questions. Don't go further, just to clarify. And so the client is gonna turn the camera and the mic off, and the consultant is going to have 8 minutes to give advice, tips, suggestions, and they're gonna talk about this challenge to help the client. And so after that, 1 minute, the client, after these 8 minutes, the client opened the mic and the camera and says just one thing that was very good for he or she. So 1 minute to say what was valuable. So if you look, so it's 14 minutes per client. You're gonna have the chance for 2 clients to have this help, this free help today. And so 2 rounds, 28 minutes. Anything else, Fernando?
I'm putting 30 minutes on the clock for you. So you have a little wiggle room to decide who will be going first. And one of the consultants must be the timekeeper. So make it sharp on the time because it helps the process going. Okay. So all the groups are set. You have groups of 4 and 5. And anytime you can come back to the main room if you need, or you can ask for help if you need any technical support over there. So have fun. See you in a bit. Okay, let's expand a little more about the impromptu networking. So coming back to the microstructures. One thing that we do in virtual is, especially with larger groups, and larger, I mean more than 20, 30 people, around this number up, we use triads, because in our experience, lots of people in larger meetings, they are not there actually, or anyway. So you can end up with a pair with one person alone and another person who is not there. So it's terrible. And then the person comes back to the main room and you don't have room to put them. So it's easier to make in triads, and it's been working. People have the same feeling of sharing their challenges because they have space in the triad. It's intimate enough because they are in a screen, and they can share the expectations and also create connections with a triad. We don't recommend triads in face-to-face because it's easier to make pairs. The only hint that we give for people in face-to-face in large groups is if you are alone when you have to change pairs, you just raise your hands and start walking with your hands in the air. So you easily will spot the person that you need to talk to. And the facilitator can also join the group to make the group even, if it's an odd group. Odd group is funny. An odd number.
Odd group.
Every good is kind of odd. What else, Carolina, about microstructures? Don't change them.
No, I think it's interesting to think about the way how you do things in general. I mean, all the activities that you do, how you craft the invitation, and what is the space that you're using, the time, and especially I think the group participation, the people participation, it's very key.
Mm-hmm.
So how people are participating. Okay, I have a small group. Okay, but it's a small group of 7 people. Who are participating? Really? 2 people, 3, maybe. So be intentional, very, very intentional. If it would be a pair, triad, groups of 4, or quartets or quintets. So what you want and how you are going to engage people in this participation. So the microstructures, I think, help us to be aware of all these things.
The possible combinations, yeah. And the maximum result. And another thing that is important, it's the invitation. It's nice to spend time crafting the invitation. For example, this one, it gets people in a space of what is an opportunity or challenge to see. So you give them two different stimulus. If you ask people what is an opportunity, it's one kind of thought, and what is a challenge, another kind of, you give them together. So you create an ambiguous space for people to think about the topic, with this step in a wider diversity of voices in your work. So it gets the conversation flowing. When you give this kind of invitation, which is tricky, sometimes people pay attention for like a couple seconds. What? And then they get the question and start working. There is a nice article from Chris from the Liberators about how to craft good, powerful invitations. We should put this on this slide as well. What else, Carolina, about impromptu networking?
And sometimes
example-
I think about just like starting a workshop with it, but I think another way is to finish a workshop with it.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah. Like takeaways, for example. What are your takeaways from this workshop? And then we can do impromptu networking then.
Yeah, I remember you use the question similar to what, so what, now what for the impromptu networking. So it's kind of a meshed one with another. So what happened in the workshop? What touched your heart? And what is changing now? What changes now? And these three questions combined, and they did 3 cycles to not evaluate, but also get their heads, okay, what happened today?
Mhm.
So 3 cycles, and it's a quick way to close as well. Yeah. What else? Different uses of impromptu networking. To come up with questions times.
Yeah, and I don't know if different use, but one thing that we experience is like if you do that like 2 rounds, it's not enough. If you do 4 rounds, it's too much. So 3 rounds is something that there's like a magic number or something like that. So it's like it's good enough, you know, when you feel that you connected, you feel that you heard a lot of expectations, you shared yours. And so it's this kind of place that, oh, I'm comfortable with this group. I warmed up in the group. So instead of doing like icebreakers or something like that, you were using something to connect people and to warm up people. But at the same time, you can put a question of the content. So what you were talking about leadership, so you put like a question in leadership and what you're taking, what are your hopes to take away and how you can contribute with the group. So bringing this, the people in front, so the responsible for their own learning and a question about the topic. So this is a very nice kind of, you know, warming and connection exercise. 3 rounds.
3 rounds, yeah. Don't mess up with the microstructure. And one mistake that I have seen with people starting using liberating structures, but coming from a facilitation background, is trying to make sense of some structures, kind of debriefing the structure. And sometimes you don't need it, or it's impossible to do it. So for example, I saw some consultants trying to debrief impromptu networking, trying to summarize what was said during these 3 cycles. And it doesn't make sense, because if you give people a couple of questions and they start talking with different people, lots of windows open up. So you are in a vast, very vast space. And how can you encapsulate this in like a summary? So it doesn't make sense. So usually we do impromptu network. We just visually, we can check that the group is alive and different from the beginning, but we don't need to try to gather all this information of what happened, because it's impossible. You just move on to the next structure. And if you're designing a process, you can see that impromptu networking can generate energy for the next step, which will be working on some challenge or generating ideas or deciding something. So you can use in different places, in different spaces on a workshop. And it works quite well. It's like a boost of energy. So that's impromptu networking. And then we'll be, when we come back with the group, the clients will be talking about what they experienced in the WISE crowds. And then we'll be talking a little bit about microstructures, which are very simple. And then we see how it was in a real group. So what happened? We'll see.
Yeah, just on that note, so it's interesting how we as facilitators, we want to bring everybody in the same page all the time. And so with Liberating Structure, I learned that it's important to know when is it important. When is it? So it not all the time, not for everything, not, like just like learning. Okay, so, now this is very important. Let's bring like the small group to the whole group. And some things is just like, it's there, the small group experience. And it's so hard to bring this experience to the whole group.
Yeah, I like that question that Keith always uses. What happened in a small group that everybody needs to know?
Yeah, we benefit everyone.
Yeah, so you give a filter. So not everything that we said here is important for everyone. So what is really important?
I like
That's one way to get people together, but just with like the essential topics. And by the way, I like this curiosity that this process can bring for the group. So I don't know what exactly happened in that group, but that thing, it's interesting. So they get intrigued and they can follow up later. So the workshop is just or the session or the meeting. They have the time after to go there and investigate. So you kind of get a stimulus for people to move and to find what they need. Okay, too much talk.
Like to stay back and observe at least in this 30 minutes. Thank you for accepting me.
No problem.
No, welcome.
People are coming back. Fabio came with a wide smile. I like these wise crowds smiles when people are back. Okay. I think everybody's here. Perfect. So we'll be doing a sequence of steps. I will just fly through the microstructures, and then I will be harvesting from the clients. So we'll be asking who are the first clients and the second clients, and we'll be doing a fun stuff. So before that, let's just quickly look at the microstructures. So the 5 elements, the invitation. What is your challenge? What help do you need? Whoop, come back. And then how space is arranged. Unlimited groups of 4 or 5 people, chairs and tables or just circles, and paper for taking notes. Nothing more than this. I like to write down what the client is saying and some questions from the consultants. I like to use my hands when I'm doing wise crowds. So participation, everyone participates. They have the opportunity to ask for help and to give help. And the groups, how we configure the groups. 4 to 5 people, no more than this. It helps a lot, keep the cap on the 5. And one thing that it's kind of mandatory, client turns their back to the consultants. We have seen people like doing a half turn. It's okay, they do whatever they can. But it's important to ask the group, to invite the group to have the client turn their backs. It makes a big difference. And then the timing, so simple, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 8 minutes. Here you can have 1 or 2 minutes. So it can be 14 or 15 minutes. Simple like that. We keep the instructions on a flip chart, on a projector, or in the chat so people can follow, and goes easy. But we need to know what happened in the breakouts. So clients from the first round, can you raise your hand just to identify yourselves? And we'll be asking you to join using the spotlight with a question. So I'll put the question in the chat for you to think about while we spotlight you. So what was made possible use wise crowds? So let me get you in the spotlight. Oh, add spotlight. Laura, it's coming, and Fabio is coming. So we have 4 clients, right? Okay,
No more clients?
Carla,
Yes.
let me find Carla and I'll get you here. Just a minute. Carla Smith, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
From Toronto. Here you are, Carla. Okay, the question for you,
Wait.
around 5 minutes. What was
Oh.
made possible with wide crowds?
You want us to just take turns? Fernando?
What? Say it again, Jen?
You want us to just take turns?
Yeah, if
Okay.
each one of you can share quickly.
I can share. For me, it clarified some ideas I already had, but put it in different words, so helped me to see it almost like popped out, like 3D. And there were some powerful ideas that I hadn't thought of, because it's this forest for the trees. You can't see the forest for the trees when you're really in the thick of something. So it was amazing. Powerful ideas.
Awesome.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. I really appreciated the different perspectives that were in the room and helping me to, similar to what Jen was saying, just expanding my own view and getting me to consider things that I hadn't considered myself. So yeah, it was incredibly valuable.
Thank you, Lenka.
I agree. I got, I think, 4 really strong recommendations. And one of them was just it provided some validation that I kind of had in the back of my mind. So that was kind of good for me as well, because it gave me a little bit of confidence about how I was thinking about the problem. And it was also really great to see that the group of people who are just meeting each other being able to so quickly build on each other's ideas. So that was great as well.
Nice. Thank you, Carla. We switch Laura's. Now I have the correct Laura.
Yes,
And
I can
Fabio.
go next. With my problem, it was a pretty big problem. And the consultant started out, I think, a little overwhelmed that it was going to be a long process and have a phased approach. But then as each added their ideas, they really narrowed in on a much faster, more effective way to get right down to how to overcome the barriers that I was facing. So it was just interesting to see them each add on to the problem or to the solution in order to really streamline.
Nice. Thank you, Laura. And Fabio, what happened?
I put on the table on the desk a very hard problem about infrastructures and conflicts in the territory, and putting together the engineers and citizens and so on. And the suggestions was wise, generally speaking, wise. I wondering what if I have to say that I'm very new in liberating structures, never used in the field. We use a traditional facilitating way, and I'm wondering what if using this very fast way, but comes out very interesting hints.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Thank you. Okay, so Carolina, I think I will remove the spotlights and invite the second round clients. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll remove everybody. Because we have a second question for the next client. So who was a client on the second round? Helen. You have to turn your camera on, Helen, to be able to spotlight you. Pictures there. Who else was a client? Genevieve, and Deb. And I'm coming as well. Okay, and the second question for you is this one. What can you make possible with wise crowds in your own context? So now we're not talking about what happened, but what will happen. Because you are facilitators and you'll be facilitating. So with you. One at a time, please.
I can start, Fernando. I think that I can use this in organizations that I work with where they have different silos and different ideas, and they can get ideas on how to be more effective, especially in communicating across silos and collaborating across silos.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Genevieve. What else?
This is Deb, and oh my gosh, I immediately made a list of colleagues who I know are already scheduled for opportunities where wise crowds would be a winner. My first opportunity in a facilitated setting may be off as far as April, but I will be absolutely open. I have an assignment coming up where this would be a perfect opportunity. Thank you. It's now
Awesome.
Wise Crowds.
Yeah, use the slides if you want, just make a copy for yourself. All this material is open and free. Helen, Apeksha.
Shall I go? I feel like actually, if I could just go back in time, the role I just finished doing, we had a lot of really tedious online, supposedly exchange visit meetings, which were mostly like, don't tell my former colleagues I said it, but they were tended to be really rubbish. And I'm like, this kind of structure would have actually worked a lot. I can imagine we'd have had much richer and better conversations in those calls, and especially like the timing of it. At the moment, I think because I'm between things, it's hard to pin down exactly what I'll use it for, but I can definitely see it being something that I would definitely use with lots of groups and lots of settings, and given a time machine would just like change quite a few recent meetings to be completely different.
Nice. Thank you, Helen.
Yeah, so I think because I work a lot in education, so I think I would use it in group dynamics where you might have teamwork that's required with projects, and maybe in some ways using that as a method to arrive at something that needs to be worked on. And at the same time, if I'm using it in team training, I would use that as a tool, especially considering you might have members of different generations working together who might have conflicting points of view, because that is something that I'm supposed to be working on, or having actually men, women, whichever genders are present in the session, having their voices heard. And finding that, using that like very slyly as an approach to make others realize that they need to be a bit more diverse and accepting.
Nice. Yeah, as we were speaking, I was already making the groups in my mind, like different generations in each group. And nice. Thank you guys so much. So let's now go to the 2 last steps. We'll give you some space for you to share ideas among yourselves in small groups, and then you'll come back to the closing. So Carolina.
Yeah, just post in the chat. So what are some new ideas you have and applications also? So where can you apply these 2 liberating structures that we experience here? So the impromptu networking and the wise crowds. So 1 minute of self-reflection. Starting now. Yeah, so now you're gonna share in small groups and 6 minutes for that.
See you in a bit for the closing.
Você vai responder ela
Okay, so quick answer for the question in the chat. It's, what is the question again? What is the maximum number of participants that could work for one Wise Crowds group? So that's the website, liberatingstructures.com. Wise Crowd is here. And then when you come here, how participation is distributed and how groups are configured. So groups are 4 to 5. We never go over 5 people in a group. If we have 6 people, let's say, okay, our group is of 6 people. So you can do 2 groups of 3 and you do like a troika consulting. If we have 7, 4 and 3. So we try to group maximum 5 people, and it makes a difference when we are asking clarifying questions and bouncing ideas back and forth. 4 people will be working together, which is a nice number.
Yeah, you notice that there's this timing, very like the time frame for each thing is very quite short, but it's enough if you have the right number of people.
Yeah.
And so I believe that if you have like 5 consultants and 1 client, you don't have room enough to everybody to participate. So what happened then is that you start having people withdrawing and have less engagement. So if we're looking for engagement and inclusion, so when we have like this, remember that I said that in the beginning of the workshop. So if you think about these intentional groups, the number of the groups, so it's very, very important, because then you have the engagement and you have everybody on board.
And of course, if you want to do it with 6 people, just do it and notice what happens. It's not set in stone as well. So
yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
You cannot do this.
Do whatever you want. Yeah. I was just thinking, for example, in that case, in the educational settings, if you have people from different generations, if you must have like 5 people from different generations and it makes sense, go for 6 people. So adapt as you need, but this intentionality is the key part. If
And
we are, as Keith say, learn the rule and then you break the rule. So
yeah, and it's very interesting to notice the participation, the involvement of people. So it depends on the number of the group. You can have more people participating or not. So I remember like some groups of 6. Usually it's like 1 is withdrawing.
yeah.
Go, I don't need to, you know.
Yeah, the introverts, they step out.
Or not just the introverts, someone who's not so engaged in the topic or the.
Yeah. Sometimes women, if there is a group of men and there is 1 woman and she doesn't feel space to speak, she just withdraws as well. So we saw this phenomenon.
Power dynamic. Yeah, power dynamic in like gender, but also in power dynamic in other ways. So you can have like the leaders and the followers.
Hierarchy.
It's another thing, yeah.
So
if you have like bigger group, you were allowing this to happen more.
That's key. Bring the power dynamic back to the room.
Yeah.
Okay, so just for you to know, while you are in breakouts, we keep talking among ourselves. So if you want to watch the recording, you see some extras. We call them the hashtag better than Netflix. So we'll send you the link after so you can watch. It's interesting. We have some conversations, some debates among ourselves. So, but we have to close. We have 3 minutes more, but we have a fast way to close and kind of harvest some nuggets of knowledge, some precious thoughts from you. So Carolina, do the magic.
Okay, I want you to write in the chat, but don't press yet, enter yet. So just write. And so you're gonna write in the chat, so what did you accomplish or find? And how are you leaving this session? So please write your comments. And when I say go, and then everybody's gonna press the enter at the same time. Then we're gonna have this shot storm. So what did you accomplish or find? And how are you leaving this session? If you are ready, just show me your hands that I know that you wrote already. Some people, it's good because it gives some pressure for the other ones, like, oh, did you?
Ready.
Okay, so let's get ready, and 1, 2, go. Just press enter. And we have a waterfall of good comments.
Nice.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you for coming, for engaging and be with this beautiful smiles in your face. It's good to start the morning like that with this amazing group, very diverse. Thank you, everyone. Fernando?
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy Facilitation Week.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
remember to vote.
Yeah, we'll vote.
Voting are on.
I voted.
Okay.